Welcome to NUFC Matters. I'm having a problem with the intro tonight. Can't seem to find it. Cheers for that, Steve. Look, we are here. The 5-minute rant is back. Always on a Monday. And again, it's never ever a dull moment at Newcastle United. There's always ups and downs, twists and turns. There's always arguments to and fro in within the fan base, and I'm sure we'll get into that tonight. But for me personally, it was an interesting weekend. I was at the game on Saturday at Old Trafford, and it was there were some positives, some negatives. Some people have got opinions here and there, but Chris, we were lucky enough to be there. What are your thoughts for today?
Do you know what, mate? I wanted, as you know, me, I wanted to come on and have my own little mini rant, before we kick off. And for me, I was there on Saturday with yourself at Old Trafford, and I don't know what it is, Pete, but I just feel like everyone's just getting a little bit negative at the minute. Now, don't get me wrong. If you look at the league table, we're 4 games in, we've got a point. I appreciate it's not looking great, but when you actually sit back and assess, what we've seen so far this season, I just think everyone's getting a little bit too het up. Now, obviously, there's a lot of panic. We're frustrated because we've had no takeover. The transfer window was a load of shite, as per usual. But again, that wasn't really a shock. Well, it certainly wasn't to me anyway. But I've been looking back at the games, so far that we've played this season. I mean, obviously, first game of the season, we had West Ham at home. We were 2-1 up at half time. And okay, yeah, we threw it away. And it was frustrating because the second half, we just absolutely folded. And then we played Aston Villa away. Now, again, I know a few people had different opinions on that. And for me, I thought we would be very fortunate to come away with anything from that game. Now, I know that, again, some people will feel differently about it, and Villa did have a weaker side out. But if you consider, especially last season, if you look at the season that West Ham and Villa both had, for me, I wasn't. Obviously, I would have liked to have got something, at home to West Ham, but away to Villa, I think I would have been made up with a point. We then go into the third game of the season. Just to remind myself, sorry, I've gone a bit off topic there, and I've lost my train of thought. Where are we? Who was our third game, Pete?
Third game, Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. So Southampton, we've thrown away 3 points in the last minute of injury time. Now, again, not ideal. But we've had a few VAR decisions against us as well at the start of this season. And had we have clung on, we'd have been on 3 points rather than 1. And then we've gone to Old Trafford at the weekend, as me and you were there. And I don't know about you, Pete, and I'm sure it'd be interesting if some of the guests who come on tonight, go into more detail. But I saw some pretty good performances at the weekend. And I saw, enough to be encouraged that when we come up against, the lesser sides, that we'll get something. I mean, okay, it wasn't perfect, but if you consider it, we our main striker, our number 9, is out and was out, at the weekend, and we had a rookie goalkeeper in, and we still managed to put up a pretty brave fight against Man United, and that 4-1 result, it was never a 4-1. If you sat and watched that game, it was never a 4-1. Man United took their chances. We obviously handed a couple on a plate for them, but the performance was there. And do you know what, Pete? When you look back last season at some of the performances we were seeing, and that's why everyone was going into meltdown. When the ones that spring to mind, when we played Sheffield United, when we played Brighton, when we played West Brom, and there was just nothing there. There was literally nothing there. But in every single game this season so far that we've played, I've seen something. I've thought, you know what? All right, we're making mistakes. All right, we perhaps don't look fully fit. Joe Willock, he's just coming back. He has a really good game at the weekend. I thought he started to look more like himself. Miggy looked inspired in the centre of midfield, which I think he hasn't been since he's been playing in that free in midfield. But he looked really good at the weekend. Manquillo being put back into the right wing back position, I thought he did fantastically well. Um, there was plenty of positives for me, and like I say, this may come back to bite me on the bum in 3 or 4 games time when we may still be in the same position, but I just think people are just getting a little bit too worked up because, in my opinion, from what I've seen, there's been parts of every game, and I hate to sound like Bruce, but there has been positives to take from each game for me. I don't think it's just been an absolute car crash, which is what some people are suggesting. Do I want Bruce in the job? Absolutely not. I don't want him here any more than anyone else, but I just think we're kind of stuck with him. Obviously, the Bruce out chance started towards the end of the game. Now, I want him out as much as anyone, but part of me did feel at one point, you know, was what happened at the weekend down to Bruce? I would argue not. I mean, like I say, we had a fair choice goalie in who's made those couple of mistakes and it's cost us. We're without Callum Wilson. A couple of his subs were a bit questionable. I'll say that. But I don't know. What are you thinking, Pete? Like, do you think I'm out of order saying that, or do you think I'm maybe getting the wrong end of the stick? But I'd like to hear what you thought on that.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think you're entitled to your opinion. There's a hell of a lot that I agree with what you've said with regards to the game. I mean, we'll get into the shirt swapping business.
Yeah,
I've already been quite vocal on that and had my say with regards to the shirt business, but we'll speak about that in a second. The performance, I agree. I thought it certainly wasn't a 4-1 performance. I thought we were unlucky to come in at that scoreline in the final whistle. I thought we, for long parts of the game, held Man United to our 18-yard box. It was very rare that they broke in to the 18-yard box and created chances. What we were expecting, in my opinion, and I know we talked about it, Chris, as well, is we expected to be peppered for Woodman to be putting off save after save after save after save, and keeping us in a game. It wasn't like that. It really wasn't, and certainly
no,
that first 45 minutes, for all the possession they had, a lot of it was the midway point of our half playing side to side football,
yeah.
and never actually penetrated our defence. And I thought the defence of the line. Just before they actually got into the box, I thought we were big, we were strong, couldn't get
Woodman
past
was
us.
coming for crosses as well, wasn't he, Pete? He was coming for the crosses and he was getting them.
Yeah, he came for a couple, got a couple, really settled the team down. But again, you've got to see that through. And I remember looking on the scoreboard, the opposite end of the pitch, and seeing it count down to zeros and thinking, yes, half time, we're there. And then to see that mistake, a monumental mistake,
It is.
and go in, we were distraught. Me, you, and Holly speaking at half time, we were like, what is going on? Like, we were distraught. We didn't even know what to say. We all met each other at half time. We didn't know what to say because everyone was just shell shocked by it, because we were expecting to come in 0-0, tails up. However, we did work hard. Almiron, that was Almiron's best performance as a central midfielder. That performance from Almiron, for all the stick that he gets from the Newcastle fans, that is the performance that when he moves, and he will, and he goes to a better team, you will see that performance every week and you'll go, why didn't he do that for Newcastle? It's because we don't allow him to play in that way.
He'll flourish, mate. He'll flourish. He will absolutely
He was
flourish.
very rarely in a defensive position. He very rarely picked up the ball from the 18-yard box, which he's had to do for the majority of the season. He was the man next to St. Max that when the ball broke, he commits and he pushes forward. And it's exactly where the game came from. The goal came from his movement. He left Maguire for dead. Great ball in. Manquillo, I love Manquillo's overlapping runs. He does it all the time. We don't see it enough from Murphy, and it's that determination that got us the goal. I don't think we see Murphy in that position that Manquillo scores. I don't believe that Murphy makes that run. And if he doesn't make that run, we don't get a goal. And that's what Manquillo does, right? He's defensive minded, but he will get forward. He will run. He will leave everything out there to make sure he's supporting his players.
And do you
And
know
I
what it
just
is,
thought
Pete?
it was great.
He understands the role, mate. So, like you've just said, Manquillo understands the role, and
Yeah.
that's the problem with Murphy. Murphy's capable of that. Absolutely, he is. He can get up and down all day. But the trouble is, he's thinking, "I'm a right wing back here. I need to defend." You know what I mean? It's too. I don't feel like he's been kind of coached into the role. So,
Yeah.
as far as he's concerned, he's a right wing back, and his job is to defend. If you put Jacob Murphy on a right wing position, I think he'd be fantastic. But that's not the formation that we play.
And in typical fashion, the only one he has to convince of that is not the fans, it's the manager, the one that actually picks the team.
Yeah.
And you know, that is just absolutely typical that Steve Bruce doesn't want to play him, and a player has to play out of his skin just to prove that actually he's worthy of being in this team when the fans have known that for weeks. But we'll park that there for now. Great to hear your opinions, Chris. No doubt we'll come back to it as the show goes on.
Yeah,
But we
absolutely.
have two guys waiting in the wings to come onto the show. So let's get it started. First of all, welcome to the show, Kieran.
Right, lads.
How you doing, Kieran?
How you doing?
Okay,
Good.
mate.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Yeah, not too bad.
I just want to
look,
say,
go on.
I totally agree with you, Chris and Pete. I think some people getting a little bit carried away. I do understand it though, but I think what it is because of the weekend, like we've gone from 1-1 to like 4-1 in like space of 30 minutes, and it keeps happening, doesn't it? It happening at West Ham with 2-1 up, and then it's 4-2. So there's a clear problem with the fitness, isn't it? Would you agree? There's a 55-minute thing where we just play for and then just capitulate for the rest, isn't it? Every week, isn't it? It's not good enough,
I would agree with you. I'd agree with you, Kieran.
Yeah.
I think most fans would agree with you that there is something not quite right with this team in terms of its fitness. Now, I have to say, for long parts, I thought again, the game on Saturday, we looked the fittest we looked for a long time. You know, the amount of running, the amount of counter attacks we had during the game, you know, we showed our fitness. Joe Willock, a perfect example. Joe Willock in his first couple of games at the club looked shattered. He didn't on Saturday, and actually he looked really disappointed to be subbed off because I think he still had more left in the tank. And I can only think that the reason why they subbed him off is because they want to protect him for Leeds, because they've obviously got the injury to Callum
That's
Wilson.
a massive game now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That is such a big game. We have to win that. I watched them yesterday, and they were poor. You know, do you know what I mean? The gap, I'm not kidding, the gap from their midfield to defence is like 30, 40 yards. So if we can get Maximan and Armour on, just stick on them on the halfway line, and then one boy at the top, they're in. Because we got the pace start, you know what I mean? We've got the pace. But have we got the manager, to identify what their weaknesses? And I just don't think we have. And for me, Manquillo needs to be in the team from now on because every time he comes in, he does a job. He's really good, I think.
Kieran, do you think realistically, do you think we'll win on Friday?
Really, no, I don't. I think the best we can hope for is a draw, but it's not good enough. You know what I mean? It's not good enough. And I've seen the reports today. I know it's Luke Edwards, but he's saying that it doesn't look like he's off anytime soon. But in my opinion, if we get beat on Friday, that's got to be it. It's got to be it because Leeds are not the team they were last season. They're getting found out in some games already. And if we lose, then that's when you start to worry because they're not great. They're not a really good team with the way they're defending that. And obviously, Callum Wilson now injured. It's not good, is it? So
it's a big worry.
Just the circus that we are at the moment, isn't it? It's just laughable, isn't it?
It is. I think the fact that you called it a circus is the best way to describe the club at the moment. It really is a circus. But Chris, what are your views and opinions on what Kieran's mentioned about the Leeds game in particular? About his comments with regards to Saturday and some of the fan reaction. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean the Leeds game's massive, isn't it? And that is one of the fixtures that you look at and think, you know what, we can get something here. Now, I understand, the pressure that we're under at the moment, and I totally appreciate the fans' frustration. And like I say, my little rant at the start, it was more just to try and put things in perspective a little bit, because like I say, where I saw things from the middle of last season, it was literally Pete, and you'll back me up here, and Caden, we were doing the match day lives, there was nothing. And I mean, there was just
Nothing. Yeah.
nothing. Like,
Yeah,
we
you're
were
right.
watching 40, 50, 60, 70 minutes of
Yeah.
just nothing. Like, there was no
Yeah.
chances. There was no, there was no heart. There was no passion. There was no effort. Um, and like I say, based on what I saw at the weekend, I saw glimpses of that. And like I say, when it comes down to the performance, I can't really knock the players. I really can't. People may disagree with that, but like I say, I was in the away end, and from what I saw, I came away encouraged. It's not every day that you're going to come up against that kind of team. I mean, if you look at
Yeah.
that whole 11, they're light years ahead of us.
Mm.
People don't want to hear that, but they are. It's the way it is.
It's surprising that
Unfortunately,
we scored a goal, isn't it?
well, yeah, and do you know what?
What
It was
did
a
you
pretty
say,
decent
Chris?
goal, and we had some good chances. Don't forget, we had the chance where Longstaff slipped over.
Yeah.
We had the
Yeah.
chance where Joe Willock blazed it over. There was 2, 3, 4 good chances where we could have made it. We could have made it count. And like I
Yeah.
say, that's why I'm saying I'm seeing positives. I mean, I'm just going to throw up a message here that's come in from Ginger Hoskin. And Ginger, you're absolutely entitled to your opinion, mate, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. He's put here that I'm out of order and I sound like a Bruce supporter, and this team is a sham of a side full of no football-minded players. Any kid from 12 upwards has the passion Newcastle don't. Ginger, I've got to say, mate, I saw plenty of passion on Saturday. I really did. We'll touch a bit later, Pete, on the whole shirt swapping thing. We'll
Mhm.
touch a bit later on, certain performances, certain things that didn't go so well. But just to make it clear, mate, Ginger, by no stretch am I a Bruce supporter. I want Bruce out the door tomorrow, but I'm just trying to be a bit of a realist because, like I say, I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon,
Nah,
unless
sure.
results continue. But the players the players that I've seen performing over the last 4 games, there's something there. They're trying. All right, it's not coming off at the moment, but when we come up against weaker opposition, we should do something. Caden's just made a great point about Leeds, and the fact that they play a certain way.
Mm.
If we do our homework, or should I say, if Graham Jones does the homework, we should be able to get at that Leeds team. They're not a great team. They set up a certain way, but if you're naive enough to try and play your game against them without considering how they play, they will tear you apart. We saw that last season. Leeds tore us apart, but that's because we never did our homework. Will we do it again this Friday? We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great point. The one thing I add about the Leeds game is that after the sending off and after a couple of injuries,
Yeah.
I think they've only got one fit centre back.
Yeah.
which
One
is
for
Tom
centre back.
Cooper,
Yeah.
going into Friday. And if I'm right in remembering, against the Leeds game, the second half we had a ton of chances, we just couldn't put the ball in the net
Yeah.
for all their attacking play.
Yeah.
And I actually think in that game they only really created 2 chances for which they scored both goals. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's going to go the same way, on Friday, but they've had less rest time. They're a team that is all action, and I I always kind of match them up very, very similar to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Sheffield
They couldn't.
United
Yeah.
are very much an all-action team
Yeah.
in terms of a way of playing, but it only lasted a couple of years, one in the Championship, one in the Premier League, and then your players to maintain that level of play over a long period of time is very, very difficult to maintain. And I think that's what we're seeing right now with Leeds. I'm not saying we're going to tear them apart, but what I'm saying is that the all-action Leeds that the Skies and the BTs want to laud and give lots of praise to, that may not continue all throughout the season. And because of that, you may get games, and fingers crossed it's Friday, where we can exploit that and really kind of benefit from them not being all action in the way they normally play. Because let's face it, they do concede goals.
Yeah.
They do concede goals. Ideally, we'd like Wilson up there. But the way we played on Saturday, and this is the key, we played well at Old Trafford on Saturday. Did we play the occasion with the Ronaldo celebrations and being that first team to play against Man United in his return? Did those players play the occasion? or is that really the performance that we're looking to see now moving forward? Because if I believe that that's the performance that we're going to see moving forward from our players, and we're going to play in that same way, I do honestly believe we've got a chance against Leeds. But we've all seen that type of performance all too often, where we see positives, like Chris has said, there were positives to come out of that, and then we go into the next game and we show nothing. We show absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I'll take back exactly what I said. Exactly.
And,
if that's the case, Pete, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But those 4 games, Pete, I've seen something, and like I say, I'm not happy with Bruce. I don't like Bruce. I don't like the way he plays. I don't like the position we're in. I don't want him here. But the matter of fact is, he's here. We've got to put up with him, and it is what it is. But I'm seeing that we're not a complete washout. We're actually trying to do something. We could play Leeds on Friday and be total bullshit. No shots on target, get torn apart, and then we've got a problem. Do I still want Bruce sacked? Of course I do. Of course I want him sacked. But everybody wants him sacked.
If we play the 5 at the back, we will, because in my opinion, we're getting found out there now.
We will.
It's vitally important.
We will play 5 at the back.
Yeah, we will, but it's so important that we change it, because we're just, the longer this goes on, we're going to keep on losing. You know what I mean?
What would you do, Kieran? Then how would you set up the team Friday?
I've always said, like, it's just, in my opinion, it's 4-2-3-1. Please just change it up. Don't just persist with 5 at the back, because it's clear that we just keep shipping in goals, even if we do still play 5 at the back.
Do you think it'd be worth Kieran moving back to 4 at the back, but maybe playing Dummett as the left back, Manquillo as the right back, and just stick with traditional, getting back to basics? All right, they're not going to offer as much going forwards, albeit Manquillo, can do that. But just having Dummett there solid as a left back, do you think that would be the best?
I totally get that. Yeah, I do. I get that. And there's also the argument for Lewis as well. But I feel a little bit more assured with Dummett, because he's defensively he's a little bit better, I think. Now with Lewis, I'm still not sure about him. I think he needs coaching. Some people say he showed signs of positivity when he was at Norwich. There was at times, but then when you look at him defensively, he's not quite the ticket, is he? So, but if you're going to do that, you're going to have to play the 2 in midfield. It's got to be, for me, it's Hayden and I would have Matty Longstaff, who's gone out on loan. So it'd be Hayden and Sean Longstaff. I don't want to see Shelby. I think he's the modern day dinosaur, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's important we change it up, because we're just going to get, as poor as Leeds have been, they're still a threat, aren't they?
Yeah. One last question for you, Kieran, and I'm going to ask Pete the same question as well. Do you think there was anything in Sam Allardyce being in the stadium?
Well, do you know what? I think if you're talking realistically, they're gonna sack him. I think he's the one that's most likely to be in. I think he does exactly what the owner wants. Forget that take over what I think he would do what the owner wants. And I think there's some other bloke that was in the stand. I've never heard of him. Is it Cooper?
Steve Cooper,
So it's a big risk in it, you know what I mean? I mean,
it is.
I mean, they're still going on about John Terry. They're still going on about John Terry on Twitter. I mean, Jesus Christ, that has got to be a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. But I'm at the point now. I'll take anyone. That's just my opinion, because I think it's only going to get worse. I think we're going to keep losing games. I don't see us winning a game with Bruce. It's just my opinion.
You know what? It's your opinion, but I know there'll be a lot of Newcastle fans out there listening tonight that would absolutely agree with you, Kieran. Again, fantastic points made, Kieran, as always.
Cheers, guys.
Absolutely, thank you for your time. You
thank you, mate.
Enjoyed this. Well deserved, mate. Great, thank you for coming on, and no doubt we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, see you in a bit. See you later.
Take care, mate. See you later.
Great points as always by Kieran. Always sets the debate going. Fantastic first caller. And he raised a couple of good points, particularly towards the end. You'd mentioned it as well. Sam Allardyce apparently in at Old Trafford on Saturday. Steve Cooper. I was told by one of my good mates, Daryl, that he was there too. Always going to spark speculation when you've got ex-managers or managers that are not at clubs currently that are at the stadium, and particularly with the situation with Steve Bruce. People are always going to speculate. But I go back to my point, on Saturday, and we talked about it after the game, Chris. The chance for Bruce to be out didn't start until about sort of the 80th minute. For long parts of the game, there was the old Cristiano Ronaldo chant.
I thought you were going to sing it then.
Yeah, no, I was going to. I was considering it, but no, I'll refrain from doing so. But it was
a family show. We're a family show.
Definitely, there was a few other just Newcastle chants of support for players collectively, and it was only really until the end that they kind of. And I have to say, I think it was after they took Joe Willock off. That I think the fans then started to get a little bit pissed off, because I think once Joe Willock came off, I think the fans knew that was it.
Yeah, it was done.
There wasn't going to be a fight back. There wasn't going to be. And bearing in mind, this is before Lingard scored, so this was still at 3-1. I think they felt that the fight was over, and that's when they kind of then started targeting Bruce. But actually, like I say, the chance didn't come that early on in the game. There wasn't really anything towards him.
Just wanted to add there, Pete. If anyone would like to come on the show, please feel free. We'd love you to come on and have your say. We like to hear from everybody. Everyone's got different opinions. Everyone feels differently about the match, about Newcastle, about Bruce, everything. So if you would like to come and join us, there you go. There's the link there. Please feel free. Get yourself in the green room, and we'd love to hear from you. We've also had a very interesting question, Pete, from Chris McCarthy. And Chris has asked, question for us both: how many points in the next 5 games will we get without Wilson on his thoughts? So what I'll do, Pete, I'll read out the next 5 games, and we'll both say how many points we think we're going to get. So obviously the first game we've got is Leeds at home on Friday. What are you saying?
People are going to think I'm mad, but I think we'll win. I think we'll get a win on Friday.
I'm gonna agree with you, mate. I'm gonna say a win.
Caller's crazy.
Yeah.
Caller's loaded full of shit.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But I do believe that I think we could do enough on home soil to get a win.
Yeah. Okay. So the next game we've got to Watford away.
Do I think we'll win?
Surely.
Do I think we'll win? We've got a horrible record down at Vicarage Road. We've got a horrible record down there. However, we need to take at least a point. We cannot afford to be dropping or taking no points from these games now. We've lost a lot of points from games we should have picked up points in. So yeah, I think a draw. I'll go 1-1 on that one.
Yeah, I'd be exactly the same as you. I think a draw. We're more than capable of winning. But history tells us, like you say, we don't travel very well to Vicarage Road. And yeah, two wins on the bounce at the moment feels like the impossible. So realistically, I would say a point away from home. And again, I'd take it if you're picking up points away from home and you're winning your winnable home games, if that makes sense. You're giving yourself half a chance. Okay, so the third game is Wolves away.
I'm going to say draw again. There's something not quite right about Wolves. I don't think they're playing well. I don't think they're the same outfit and the same team that they were a couple of years ago. I think that sprinkle of Premier League dust that they had with the players that they signed is not quite there. So I'm going to go draw, and I'm going to go a 2-2 draw in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you, but I'm going to say defeat for that one. I think they may just have too much for us. Obviously, I'd love a win, and again, we're capable of getting a win, but I feel more confident about the other two than I do Wolves, if I'm honest. Okay, so the fourth game is Tottenham at home. And we haven't got that bad of a record against Tottenham in recent years.
We haven't, but defensively, I know that. Well, I say that they got spanked on Saturday. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. Just
Yeah.
because it's Tottenham and because they've got the likes of Harry Kane, I'm going to say we'll get beat in that one.
Yeah. I would probably go draw. I'd fancy us maybe for the draw there. Maybe we can get something. I still don't think Harry Kane's head's fully at Spurs. He says it is, but I don't believe it is. And I wonder whether they'll just run out of steam. Obviously, they won the first games 1-0, didn't they? And then they got beat 3-0 by Palace. But you could see that coming a mile off because Spurs are going to be nowhere near the top 6 for me this season. I think they rode the luck in the first 3 games. So yeah, I'd say draw. I think we could maybe nick a draw. And then we've got Palace away. So you can hear from this, Pete, these 5 games, you know, if we end up with 1 or 2 points from these 5 games, yeah, I'm going to be panicking. I'm going to be worrying. I'm going to be probably feeling the way everyone else does right now. But I just feel like this run of games that we've got coming up, I think we can get something. And I'm definitely going to say an away win for that.
Yeah, okay. I think Palace will win that game just because they always tend to beat us in those type of games. So yeah, and obviously they're playing well at the moment. They're picking up results. They've got a striker that's fit that can score goals. He's a terrific striker, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet in Edouard. He clearly looks
scored after 25 seconds, didn't he?
Yeah. So, you know, they've got that striker, and we don't know about Callum Wilson. The one thing I'll say, and I said it initially, I think I said it on Loaded Mag when his injury came out. With Callum Wilson, it was either one or the other. It was either a strain or a tear. Now, if you've got a strain is maybe 2-3 weeks max. So we'd be looking at him coming back for Watford. The fact that they're saying it's a 6-weeker, now, bearing in mind, I'm someone that's tore my quad muscle before, my thigh muscle before. If that's 6 weeks, then he's tore his muscle. So they're playing it down. They're playing it down as a thigh strain. He's clearly torn the muscle, and that is why. That's why he didn't kick the ball. Instead, he headed the ball when he scored against Southampton. The reason why he got so low to get the ball in is because he couldn't physically kick with the ball. Because if he'd have kicked with the ball, it would have popped and it would have been an even bigger tear. So he's protected himself. You can still run on a torn quad. You can still run in straight lines to a certain extent. You can't run at full pace, but you can't strike a ball. So if you strike a ball, you'll tear it even more so. So he's clearly stayed on far too long. He's done something where he's tore it again, probably slightly bigger, to the point where now he's having 6 weeks off. So the club are lying to us. I know they're lying to us because that's a quadricep tear of the muscle. How big it is, I don't know. But for the fact that he's going to be out for 6 weeks, that's a tear, not a strain. You're not out for 6 weeks with the strain. It's as simple as that.
And do you know what? It's disappointing, isn't it, Pete? Because obviously we're losing him for arguably one of our most important periods, you could say, for the whole season. Because we all know what's coming up in December. We all know that if we haven't picked up some points by then, we are really in trouble then.
And this is why the fans have been screaming for 6 weeks now to buy a replacement. You had effectively a free transfer there in Solomon Rondon. You had loan fees there in Michy Batshuayi, who went off to Besiktas on loan for pittance for a season. You've got other strikers out there, you know, the likes of Nketiah in the last year of his contract, a good young striker. Why not bring him up? He's Willock's best mate. Perfect way of settling him into the club, bringing his best mate up here as well for a loan spell or even a small permanent fee. All these kind of players that are out there that we could have brought in, you know, on cheap loan strike deals and would have made a massive, massive difference to the fact that we've missed Callum Wilson now, but we could have brought one of these guys in and it wouldn't have been such a blow. Because for all the quality that Callum Wilson has, he is injury prone. And you can't bank you can't put all your eggs in Callum Wilson's basket, although you'd love to, because of that injury record. You just can't do it. So really, really frustrating. And it goes back to the point that the fans were right. The fans are always right when it's against the club. We see our club a lot better and a lot wider with a lot better vision than they do, and it's just proven once again.
Yeah.
Agreed,
mate. Agreed.
Yeah, so right, we're going to move on now because we've got our next guest that's been waiting very, very patiently in the green room, and we'll welcome him on. Welcome to the stream, Dunil.
Good evening, fellas. How are we?
Evening, mate.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Right, the floor is yours. Talk
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, basically, obviously, what's been said about the game, I think, is, been done. What really got on my goat last week was some of the online hacking stroke abuse that a couple of people have suffered. One being your fellow podcaster from the Toon Review, hacking into his account and putting those horrible messages on. And the other one being, is he called Graham? I think he's called, and he from anyone's game, I think, or one of them. And Graham Bell, yeah, that tweet, I read that. Right, I'm going to put it out there. If this trolling, this online behavior, this online abuse, it's not big, it's not clever, and if anybody thinks it's a laugh, don't, because it causes a lot of distress, and at this current time, people are having mental health issues, UK-wide, worldwide. This is my message to Twitter. Never mind your billions of dollars in your advertising and you have this and that. Get it sorted. It's a question of ethics, right? Enough's enough now. Let's deal with it, because from the tweet, what I read with what happened to Graham Bell, I wasn't happy with. Literally, it really boiled my blood, that. And when I heard what happened with Paul from the Toon Review, that sent me through the roof. When he came on, I think it was on, I don't know if it was John's. I think it might have been on John's channel, John Sinclair's, and he was saying what had happened. That has got to stop. Twitter, I hope you're watching this. Get it sorted. You've got experts there. Surely you can, pick these people up, because these people are doing this are classless and faceless, and it can destroy lives and it can destroy mental well-being, and enough is enough, because obviously some our good friend Steve has suffered it, and what you guys do is build great communities, and I've enjoyed being part of the communities, and I'm looking forward to the Christmas party on the November, when I meet you all face to face, hopefully, for a pint or 10. I mean, sorry, not a pint or 10, but
it's got to be 20.
I'll be an RBI after that, but never mind. But yeah, no, enough's enough. Twitter, Facebook, and all you other, get it sorted, guys, will you? And that's all I'm going to say on that, because I think it's gone too far.
I can see you're very, very passionate and animated about that. So, but I have to say, with everything you've just said, definitely 100% deserves this. So that's before you've even got onto anything Newcastle related with regards to the club and the players. But you've made a really good point with what you've said. But Chris, do you want to add to what Dunil said before I say a little bit?
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? I think you're absolutely right. And it's sad the times we live in, isn't it? Because really everybody should be coming together. There's a lot of people really struggling out there, and things are really difficult at this time. And it doesn't help when people are targeting other people. I mean, for me, people may not agree with this, but I actually feel sorry for the people doing it, because I genuinely just think, have you not got anything better to do? I'm not going to name any names, but somebody commented on something I retweeted, and I think it was towards like the middle of the night, and I wrote back to him and said, I'm not being funny. Have you got nothing better to do than sit there and have a go at me over something that I retweeted for a friend? And it was to benefit him, And you know, if you don't like it, block me. If you don't, you know, if you don't want to follow me, don't follow me. But why take the time to, you know, try and call somebody out based on something that I've retweeted? Do you know what I mean? And then anyway, he did block me, which was absolutely fine. And we're all going to have differences, and we're all going to have, you know, different opinions on things and not be happy with certain things, and that's absolutely fine. We're all not going to get on. We're all human. It doesn't happen like that, and it wouldn't life be boring if we all did get on and we all agreed with exactly the same thing? But there's no need to be personal. There's no need to.
Absolutely. I mean, us three on here, right? Obviously, your Pete's opinion will be different. Yours will be different. Mine will be. But the civil way to do is you say, "Oh, fair enough, mate. Yeah, fair point." You don't start getting personal and personal, because for me and for any man, when it comes to family, it's almost you get a bit. If somebody calls, insults your family, you get all Liam Neeson, and it's like, it's personal. It's crossing the line.
It is, mate. It absolutely is. And you know what? There's more to life, than some of the things that these people are writing. And like I say, I do feel sorry for them, because I just think you must have nothing better to do. You must obviously lead a very sad life, and you then decide to try and upset someone else's life. I mean, me personally, I'm not saying my life's perfect, but the last thing I would do, is go online, see something I don't like, and then spend 10 or 15 minutes berating the person who's wrote something. I might give my opinion and say, oh, I think this or I think that. But it's about being respectful, and it's about having your own opinion and putting it across in a respectful way. And unfortunately, some people don't do that. And the best thing is, Donald, they then hide behind faceless accounts.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not just say it? Say it to your face, or come at it. Because half the time, Donald, these people who they get called keyboard warriors, don't they? You can walk past them in the street, or
and they'll stop saying boo.
They won't say nothing to you. And
exactly.
That's the silly thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Says everything you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What are you thinking, Pete?
Well, look, as you mentioned, Chris, and I'm a strong believer in this, in that if everybody had the same opinion, it would be incredibly boring to discuss Newcastle United, football in general, or just any particular issue that was like sort of the topic of that conversation.
I'm waving.
It would be incredibly boring.
I'll give a wave to Rachel as well.
But what I don't agree with, and in particular with the point that you mentioned with regards to Graham, is when you're threatening family members.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wives and children, to the point where you have to leave your house because of death threats.
Yeah.
Football is not that important to be risking people's or threatening people's lives. It just it's not.
It's not. Yeah. Absolutely.
Life is a lot bigger than that, and we are massive, passionate fans of this club. We all are. Everyone on social media. There are so many more off social media that are just as passionate as the ones on social media. But there's no need to be threatening people's lives. There's no need to be trying to destroy people's lives. If you don't agree with people, or you don't want to listen to what they're saying, you don't have to follow them. If you don't agree with what people are saying, you don't need to necessarily respond to their comments. You can keep your opinions to yourself. You don't need to turn it into an argument. You don't need to turn it into a slanging match. You don't need to turn it into personal insults. It doesn't need to go to that. So it really disappoints me that people will go to those sorts of lengths. You've mentioned, Steve's received it recently. Paul from Toon Review have received it in terms of hacks and various other things, and he's had other things for a while now. And I just think, it's just not necessary. It's not necessary. It's just not, it just frustrates me. It really does. And that's why, if I'm honest, I don't spend a lot of time on social media for that reason. Because, I'll come on maybe after a game here or there, and I'll share an opinion or two. But other than that, I stay away, just because I don't want to see it. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be on the receiving end of it, because I've got more important things to think about than dealing with that sort of stuff. So really, really poor. Hope it's the end of that. We all need to move on. And, as we've said on Loaded, and our opinion still stand, is that no matter how hard it is, we will try our absolute best to bring the the fan base together as much as we possibly can. We're not anyone special, we're just Newcastle fans, but if we can make a difference and bring one or two people together, we have done with Lee from Newcastle Fans TV, Paul from Toon Review, various others that we've had on as well on our shows. We're trying to bring people together, and if we can just even mend that by 10, 15, 20%, then hopefully we'll be going in the right direction. But that's just my opinion on that.
And the big man summed it up there, Steve with a comment saying, the one thing this show has done is create a special community. It is great now that we have managed to meet up in recent weeks at games, which is absolutely true, isn't it? It's, this is, I've said this a few times now, Pete, this channel, this podcast, it's allowed me to obviously come on to my own podcast with yourselves at Loaded. We're meeting up for games, Pete. Had we not been on this show, we wouldn't have been able to do that. Like, being in that away end at the weekend was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Being able to share that with like-minded Newcastle fans is just incredible. I mean, as you all know, I'm from Liverpool, and I'll go the pub to watch the game with my friends, and it's just not the same. And now, I've got this Newcastle community. I can come on here, I can rant, I can listen to other people's opinions, I can share my own, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. But the one thing that I would encourage nobody to do is to shoot anyone down. Everyone's entitled to disagree with people, and it's good that the people do that, but it's about doing it in a respectful way, which, everybody here tonight has been doing. A few people didn't like what I said, and it's absolutely right, to give that opinion, and that's fine. It's just about doing it in a respectful way and being nice and not hiding behind the fake accounts and getting personal with people, because that's just not on.
I agree 100%. I wouldn't be in the position doing what we're doing right now on a Monday evening if it wasn't for this podcast, and obviously, like you said about Loaded, the people that we've met, the people that we've connected with over the last year is all because of that. So we'll always be forever grateful for having this community and bringing us together. 100%.
Ryan, spot on there. There is something positive, the NUFC fans, and that is absolutely it, isn't it?
I tweeted that out on Sunday morning,
You
just
did.
before I was playing. I had a fixture, and I don't know why I made it. I say I don't know why. I do know why. I was setting up the goalposts on a Sunday morning after a long day of drinking on Saturday, and I just flicked Twitter on, and I saw about a 25-second clip of the Newcastle fans just chanting away, supporting the lads at the game, and it just brought that memories back that you'll know from Saturday of everyone being so together. I'll go back to the point that I'll never forget it, and every time I watch the game back, the 4-1 game back from the weekend, I just watched that our goal on loop and just remember what I was doing at that point. No matter how shit it, honestly, and I'll explain it in a second. No matter how shit, right, this club is and how shit this club treats us, the fans, no matter how bad the performances are, no matter how bad our manager is, right? That feeling that we had, and you felt it as well, Chris, I know you did, when that ball went in the net from Manquillo, I swear to you, every bit of frustration, every bit of anger, and everything just came out and went absolutely nuts. And it wasn't just me, it wasn't just you, Chris, it was everybody. And I swear to you, and I said it in my my Patreon podcast with True Faith, because I was lucky enough to be able to do a recording on the game. I'm not going to tell you about my reaction because I was screaming like a 4-year-old girl.
We see you on Match of the Day, Pete. We see it.
Yeah, if you're not see that Match of the Day, you'll see me just screaming to the heavens, celebrating the goal. But I had guys from 3 rows behind me end up 3 rows in front of me. There were pylons. We were celebrating with people I'd never met in my life, and it didn't matter. That is what football is all about. That is what away days are all about. This is why we love football, and this is why us as a fan base, and I said it on Twitter, we are the best. And we are the best, not because we win all the trophies, not because we sign the best players. It's because of the opposite. because we don't sign anybody, because at times we are shit, because we've got shit owners. And despite all of that, and the fact that we've not won a trophy for God knows how long, we are still there in our numbers, supporting the lads. We as a club had no right to have 3,200 fans in that away end on Saturday. Had no right to be there to support the lads the way we did, but we did it anyway, and it was amazing. Regardless of the result, it was amazing to be there, and I felt lucky to be in that away end, because not all away ends are like that up and down the country. They're not, but that was special on Saturday, and I really enjoyed being a part of that. And I really look forward to, regardless of what happens, going to more of those games down the line and trying to hopefully experience that feeling again, and hopefully 3 points come along with that.
You'd think, putting your piece when if when you look back at it, you'd think it was top versus second. That's certainly the way we were carrying on, wasn't it? There was constant singing, getting behind the lads. The negativity was put to one side, for a period. And we were just there just to cheer them on, enjoy it. I said to my mum after the game when I spoke to her, I was like, do you know what? I would be so rich if I could just bottle that feeling and sell it. If you could sell that moment, that feeling that you get, when you score and you're back in a game, we're 1-0 down, we've had a couple of chances, we've missed the opportunities, and then we go and bury that goal. Unreal.
Amazing.
Unreal.
It's a great feeling. And you know what? I travelled up from Leicester with a couple of season ticket holders from Man United, and when they're saying to me that all they could hear the other side of the pitch was us chanting, was us singing, us lighting up 75,000 seater stadium. It was the 3,200 fans that were lighting it up. That's all you could hear for long parts of the game. As soon as a goal went in and we were disappointed, what did we do? Bang, back singing again, back singing louder than the Man United fans. And it's just a testament to how good this fan base is. And it goes back to the question, we keep saying it. If we were a successful team, how much better would it be?
Pete.
I can't even imagine
when that takeover happens, mate. It's honestly, blowing up.
I cannot imagine what our fan base would be like with a new owner, an ambitious owner, and putting money into the club, taking this club to the next level. We are the best in the country anyway. We would just be another level, and the opposite to Man City. Man City haven't got a fan base. They've got an empty stadium every week, regardless of being the champions. We've got that ready to go with new owners. We've got everything in place. We just need somebody that cares about the club, that's going to love the club, that's going to want to make a difference to this club. And I just can't wait for the day for that to happen.
It's no wonder, Pete, that we've got people queuing up, as we've heard, on like the Fab Four shows or the Three Amigos, as it was previously called. You've got buyers queuing up. They're queuing up to buy this club because it's such a special club.
Yeah.
It's like, we saw it at the weekend, didn't we? We witnessed it. And as you said, that city is just going to blow up. As soon as a takeover happens, whether it's the PIF one, whether it's a different one, once Ashley's out the club and once we've got owners who care, want to make a difference, want to take us forward, and we end up bringing in players who want to play for the club, who aren't just here, just to collect a salary, we need a bit of ambition. Once we have that, we could go anywhere we want, absolutely anywhere we want. We're getting, the away following we've got at the moment is incredible. We're still getting 45, 46, 47,000 every week. And that's with a shit owner, a shit manager, and no hope. And we're still getting those numbers. Still. Imagine the season ticket, queue to get a season ticket. When that happens, it'll go through the roof. 10, 20, 30 year waiting list, because everybody will want to get back in that stadium and start supporting the club again.
100%. 100%. I remember back in the Keegan days, we had a 10-year waiting list.
Yeah.
And me and my brother to get a season ticket, we had to wait until 2001, 2002 to even be considered. Just absolute madness. But we could talk about this all day. But we've got another caller. We've got the main man who's going to light up the show. I know he is. He's got his smile ready. He's going to pull off some jokes. Here he is, main man Babbo.
Oh
Welcome.
wow,
Oh,
that's an intro. I don't have to perform.
No pressure.
No, but you guys definitely like hit a lot of points, and that's what I was gonna talk about. I mean, as a club, we cannot keep just doing this every day is bad. At some point, we just have to accept that for now we're stuck with Bruce, and we just have to get behind him, even though we don't like what he's doing. I mean, as Chris said, we have like 40,000 fans in a stadium when they don't even like what's going on. Can you imagine if we actually did have like the passion or even the coaching to just be like, okay, when we're playing games, we're not looking to get beat. Now we're going forward. And you guys were right. There were some positives to the United game. I mean, to be fair, that is a Champions League squad right there with United, right? So for us to even hold them till halftime without actually conceding, and we just Freddie Woodman, he's not experienced enough to be able to. I'm sure the kid is. Well, I think the kid is like 23.
24.
How old is he? 24. Yeah, to be going against Ronaldo and I know he's a professional and these mistakes happen. Edwin van der Sar and Rio Ferdinand have made more mistakes combined than Freddie Woodman has. Okay, so let's give them a break. Let's just, for now, let's not be the fan base that's the sulky, complain, and the way once we do that now, everyone's to start labeling Newcastle fans as toxic because that is literally the word that's going around now. So we just need to get behind the lads. I mean, Miggy was playing out of his skin on. I was like, God damn, who are you? What? Because they didn't let you go to Paraguay. You said, oh, I'm going to play 2 matches in 1 game. No, you can't be doing that. You have to do that every match. And yeah, sometimes we'll mess up. Sometimes we'll have like a defensive lapse. But we are in the Premier League and we've been in the Premier League for so long that at this point, we should be able to at least just hold on that little bit longer so someone can take over, or we actually get a manager or someone that can actually coach people to be better. Because it's not fun having every time, oh, I'm a Newcastle fan. Oh, you guys are toxic. I'm like, have you ever been to a Newcastle match? They're the most friendliest, loveliest people you'd ever meet.
yeah.
I mean, you have people that don't know each other just screaming and having fun. It's not in, at least from my experience, it's not in Newcastle fans' nature to be over serious about anything. We're the loveliest, most chilled bunch of fans I've ever met, right? And even during derby days, we still have those fun times where you poke fun at Sunderland because it's just in the nature. So it's very annoying to be labeled, oh, we're too expectant, we did this. Now we're just tired. We just want a good game. That is not too much to ask. I mean, no one should go after Bruce for going on a holiday. To be fair, like I feel bad for the man now. Like he ain't got no choice. He's just stuck there, and he's like, I would like to leave, but I mean, £4 million is a lot of money. I mean, you can't just walk away from that. Let's be honest. £4 million would change people's lives.
Would you walk away for £4 million?
Hell no. Hell no. I'll be like, Mama, I'm buying you a new house. As soon as I get sacked, I'm like, I'll sit there and have like a mojito while the team is playing. I'm like, until you sack me, I ain't leaving this shit, because that's the reality of things. You can love a club, but you have to take care of your family, right? And as Daniel said, right, when you go after a man's family, that's the start of it, right? So he's like, look, I have suffered this long. I'm not just going to walk away for nothing. So we just have to, as fans, stop playing the money card, because I'm getting tired of Newcastle fans complaining every week. I'm like, at a certain point, we have to go, right. We know we're going against Man United. Last week, we said in the group chat with all the other Newcastle fans, we know we're not going to win this game, but we put up a fight in the first half. We scored a goal. We're 1-1. Right, until the last 20 minutes where things just fell apart. Like, that is a starting point. It is very difficult to keep every week just piling pressure on these guys, because unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure if they actually listen to the fan stuff. When they just hear negativity, regardless of how good a sportsman you are, you need people on your side. So it was lovely to see the fans singing and screaming and letting the players know that they are there for them regardless of what happens. Now we might not like Bruce, but we're still going to support him for the time he's going to bring on substitutes. I don't know why he decided to bring on defenders when we needed a goal. I don't know what his tactics were, but from now on, I'm just going to try and be as positive as possible and just no stress. It might require a lot of booze, but that's just part of the game. All Newcastle fans, I recommend you have a glass of whiskey next to you the next match, because that Leeds game, it's gonna go either way, right? I've seen Bamford try some crazy things in the last game, and I'm like, he's on point. You don't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. So we just need to survive. I'm not sure how we're gonna handle our striker situation. What do you guys think? Gale ain't showing like don't look like Gale look like that old guy you bring out from retirement, and he's like, let me just do a couple of stretches and get my money and let's go. I'm serious.
Baba, you make some great points as always. Lots and lots of great points that I do actually really want to touch on. But Chris, he's talked about Freddie Woodman. He's talked about obviously Steve Bruce and not getting on his back. Talked about the striker situation in particular. Where do we go next for that? What are you making on Babo's points?
Do you know what? I made a few notes then whilst Babo was talking, because some excellent points. I mean, I'll start off with Woodman, Babo, and I don't want to get on Woodman's back because I don't like to totally write off a player. I mean, I am conscious he's only played 4 games. If you were to ask me honestly, do I think he's going to make it as a Premier League goalkeeper? I've got real big concerns. I'm not going to lie. Based on what I've seen, obviously the first 40 minutes of the match at Old Trafford were a bit encouraging. Like, I saw him coming out and trying to claim the ball, which I haven't seen in previous games. So that was a small positive. Obviously, the 2 mistakes he's made weren't ideal. I'll let him off a bit with the first one because I hadn't realised, because I was at the game, I hadn't realised there was a slight deflection, which is why it bounced out of his hands. And then obviously Ronaldo came in, as he does, and took advantage, and he was a step ahead of all of our other defenders, who, to be fair, ended up blameless with that. So that has to be criticised. We had a similar situation, didn't we, with the I think it was the penalty against West Ham, and Souček smashed it in. And again, the defenders were slow to react. So some blame has to go there. But I always remember when Arsene Wenger said, when you like bleed, excuse the expression, but when you're bleeding or bedding in a youngster, you've got to expect them to cost you between 10 and 15 points a season. And we're clearly seeing that now. That's what we're seeing now. Will Woodman make it? I don't know. But I one thing I am pretty sure of is he's not ready right now. But that's not his fault. He's been put in this position because we've got the issues with our keepers at the moment. So for me, the first thing I would do at the week on Friday is I would drop Woodman and I'd put Darlow in goal. That is controversial, but I really would.
That's fair.
Fair play to him for coming out and taking responsibility.
Yeah, that was
fair play to him for doing that.
I was like, yeah.
It shows the kind of guy he is, and that is great. But you can't take away the fact that 2 costly errors have cost us that match, and he's acknowledged that. Like I say, I'd take a little bit of the blame off him for the first goal, particularly because of the deflection. But again, I still just don't think he's good enough at this point. Will he be in time? Who knows? In terms of what you were saying about Ashley and Bruce, so all we want as fans is to compete, isn't it? You were mentioning about the pundits getting on, getting at the Newcastle fans and saying we've got unrealistic expectations. We want Champions League football. No, we don't. We don't want Champions League football. We just want to compete. We want to dream. We want to believe that we can do a Leicester. We want to believe that we can challenge for the top 6, the top 8. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And why shouldn't we want that? Why should we want to finish 17th or above every season? We're better than that. We're absolutely better than that. And our fans, and I don't care what anyone says, any other fans who are listening, feel free to call me out. Our fans deserve better than that. We deserve better than what we're getting at the moment. I don't care what anyone says. And, the away fans that we've just been talking about, we follow the club through thick and thin. And we deserve a better team, a better manager, and a better owner. That's what we deserve. But we still get behind the lads. Okay, at times we don't get behind Bruce, but Bruce, and just to touch on Bruce now, Bruce is there because he's been employed by Mike Ashley, and sometimes I think people forget that Bruce directly gets blamed. Yeah, I think he should have walked. I think if he loves the club as much as he says, he's a Geordie through and through. For the good of the club, I think he should have walked. But then on the other hand, he's probably looking at it and thinking, well, you give me a contract. If you don't want me, you get rid of me. And that's down to Mike Ashley.
Yeah.
And I'm sure many fans know that anyway, don't they? And that is the case. And the last point I wanted to touch on, Babbo, which you mentioned, was Miggy. I thought Miggy was fantastic, absolutely fantastic at the weekend, and we'll be the first people to call players out when they don't perform well. But when they do perform well, we need to stand up and say, do you know what? You put a shift in there. Same as Sean Longstaff. Best I've seen Sean Longstaff play in a long while. And these are the little positives that I was talking about. I'm seeing performances. Willock, his fitness is coming back. I just wish he'd saw more of the ball at the weekend, because when he was on the ball, and I seen a stat the other day which backed it up, what was it, a 96% pass completion? Bear in mind who he's up against. He's up against the likes of Pogba. He's up against Varane. He's up against Sancho. He's up against Ronaldo. 96% pass completion. And he's a young lad who's played 46 minutes of pre-season football, and he's been thrust into this Newcastle team, who are in disarray, who apparently aren't playing for the manager, who the fans, the fans can be toxic, and rightly so, but it can't be easy for him. He got presented in front of the Newcastle fans like he was a Ronaldo or a Messi. When he come out on the pitch, you could see in his face he was a bit like, wow.
Yeah, we needed that boost of positivity, because everything has just been so, like, it went so far left. I was like, what the, like, you remember when we had like Papi Cisse and Dembaba up front, and that was like, from where I lived in Newcastle, you could hear the stadium singing across the whole city. I'm like, that is not a normal thing. I'm sorry, that's just not a normal thing. And then it went from that to all of a sudden, week in, week out, just negative. And I'm just like, there are certain things we can't change. And we know for the next, 3 months, we're going to be stuck with the same team, same manager. Now, all we need to do is figure out where we can get the positives, because this club, whether people admit it or not, is part of people's mental sanity, right? Some people are like, they work and they save to make sure they can get that ticket.
Yeah.
Because it is part of their lifestyle. Now, the world is hard enough as it is. Let's not add that into the football that we used to escape. And I love how during the coronavirus thing, like, we were all like just sitting, even though the games were not good, we'd still sit down and have a drink, have a laugh. After 70 minutes where there was nothing, we'll still have something to actually be positive about. That's the kind of influence this club has on people.
Do you know
I
what,
mean, I
Babbo?
didn't know any of you before the pandemic hit, right? So I'm like, now I'm like, oh, guys are on Monday night. Don't disturb me. I'm on my show, please. Yeah, right.
Do you know what, Babbo? You're absolutely right, mate. And sometimes I think you do have to take a step back. You've got to think to yourself, we're all here, we're all supporting our club, we're all back in stadiums, and it's not going to be this shit all the time. And I acknowledge it is shit. I'm trying to find positives, and people are getting frustrated at me. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty shit. I know it's shit, but I'm trying to keep upbeat. It's not going to be the way it is now forever. I mean, we've spoken about it before. I keep thinking of the Bobby Dobson days. I keep thinking of the Keegan days. And like I say, just imagine that moment when you wake up of a morning and you turn on the telly, you turn on Sky Sports, you look online, and it says we've been taken over. It'll just be all of that. All of this 14 years will be gone, absolutely gone, and then we can start looking forward and we can start enjoying it. As things stand, we've just got to get through it. And do you know what, Pete? Yeah, that comment there that Mad Mag Mark, I wish I could say that every week, that he's come up with, really, really good question. I mean, for me, obviously you three comments, but for me, it's got to be the Premier League. Like, Ashley's to blame for the position that we're in right now. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, he wants to sell this club. He doesn't want to be here anymore. He's doing his utmost to try and sell the club. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still sing the Mike Ashley chants out. We don't want him here. And he's done wrong by the club now for far too long, 14, 15 years, far too long. But The Premier League are stopping that. The Premier League are putting the brakes on it, and it's not fair. And Bruce is here because Mike Ashley's here. When Mike Ashley goes, Bruce goes, and then we get what we want.
That simple, literally, just
Well,
a line.
It sounds horrible to think, but we could have been a year and a half nearly into our new ownership by now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
who knows what the team, the manager, the club would have looked like a year and a half sort of down the line of a very serious ownership of the club that it could have been. So I have to agree with that. The only ones we should really be getting on their backs is the Premier League, because they're a signature away from allowing us to realise that dream. You know, I think we've voiced our opinions on Bruce and Ashley for a long time now. I think every single Newcastle fan feels exactly the same with regards to Bruce and Ashley. So, yeah, I completely agree. The point that Bobby made about Freddie Woodman, I did put it out there on the chat. Would you start him? Would you drop him? Chris was controversial, I thought, at the time when he said that he'd drop him, but actually it proved a popular vote, because I don't think there's anyone that said in the chat that they'd start him. So I think
everyone's disagreeing with me tonight as well.
No. I think it's fair enough to be like, look,
you
you made two costly mistakes. You have to learn that these things come with a consequence. It's not a free ride, right? So he will learn from this.
I've just not seen enough from him in the 4 games. I'm not just saying let's get rid of him because of the 2 mistakes at the weekend. Far from it. Kids make mistakes. Players make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But based on the 4 games that I've seen, I don't think he's ready. I really don't. And the difference between him and Darlow or him and Dubravka, which is huge, that's how I see it.
It's a vast canyon of experience and confidence. You do not have that at 24 unless you're world class to begin with. And with the level to which and I'm sorry if I'm speaking ill of the coaches, but with the level of coaching that we have at the club currently, I would not be surprised if he's like, okay, I'm heading out, maybe comes back in a couple of years and he's like a top class goalkeeper. It's fine. But as you said, it is a fair analysis of what he's done, because he doesn't have the confidence. He cannot command that backline the same way Dubravka commands the backline. That's just what it is. He needs the experience, he needs the age, he needs the game time. So he's going to get that in time. But for now, we need reliable hands. And please, God, don't let Sam Allardyce come in. Please, God. I can't do it. I can't. We can't be doing that long ball again. Please, no.
It would be very much.
Got no one to play the long ball too.
Yeah.
Don't want to play it to Joe Linton. Don't even get me started on playing the long ball to Joe Linton.
It would be very Mike Ashley to sack his first manager in Sam Allardyce and then potentially bring him back as his last manager to the same club to try to try and get him out of the mess. It would be very, very much Mike Ashley. But John Justice Allen made a really, really good point. We could have had Messi and Ronaldo in the team if a takeover would happen. We'd have been able to afford them. Put it that way. We'd have been able to afford them. I don't think they would have quite come to us. I have to be honest, but who knows? It's a case of who knows. Anything could have happened at that point. Ryan Sweeney's contributed to the matters. Thank you very much for your contribution, and I know Steve has replied and thanks for the contribution there. Keith has put, Pete, if we're a year and a half into the new PIP or PIF ownership, the stadium would have been cleaned up and there wouldn't be a dead pigeon in the Gallagher end.
Well, I mean,
he's got his own Twitter account now, hasn't he?
It has.
Dead pigeon.
This is just Newcastle fans to a T.
It is.
Absolutely running wild. But guys, we'll leave it there. Babu, pleasure as always for you coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem at all. Really, really appreciate it. Top man. Always like his points. Always doesn't mess around with his opinions. I think he's raised some good points, and I think lots are still talking about it in the chat with regards to Woodman and his opinions on him. It all depends on how fit Darlow is. If he's ready to go 100%, it would be worth dropping him in the team, bringing him back in if he can rekindle that performance that he put in last season until Dubravka's back. So, look, it's all. Let's see what happens. But look, it's never a dull moment, as I said, at Newcastle. There's always something going on. No doubt between now and Friday, there'll be more things going on at the club because it's Newcastle United, and unfortunately, at this point, this is just what we do. But
Pete, I had a question for you, mate. Actually, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask because we haven't touched on it, and I don't even think we spoke about it after the game. What was your thoughts on Freddie Woodman and in the first half and the whole kicking debacle? What was all that about? So, for anyone who hadn't seen it, what basically was happening was Freddie Woodman was trying to wind the clock down, which all good goalkeepers will be taught that. They'll be told, we're in no hurry, we're at Old Trafford, let's try and wind the game down, let's try and frustrate them. But what was your thoughts on? He kept doing it. And then in the end, the referee had a word with Jamal Lascelles. Jamal Lascelles then spoke to Freddie Woodman. And what I wanted to ask you was, what were your thoughts on that, in terms of Lascelles trying to, should Lascelles have had a word with him before? I wonder what Lascelles has said to him. And also what I wanted to ask, we did touch on this. Freddie Woodman kept playing the long goal kick over to the far left of the pitch, which was towards Joe Linton. And as we saw, Joe Linton, he came up in battles against Pogba, he came up in battles against Varane. And to me, I don't know what you thought, Pete, but he just wasn't up for it. He's a big, strong lad. And every time that ball went in the air, it was like he just didn't fancy it. If it came down to his, by his chest or his midriff, he'd do his best to hold it up and he'd hold the player off. If the ball was in the air above the head and it was there to be won, he just wasn't interested, in my opinion. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on Joe Linton first and foremost is that for his natural raw attributes, he just hasn't got the ability. And it sounds absolutely weird me saying that, but he's 6 foot plus, right? He's a big physical guy.
Yeah, he is.
But he doesn't use it at all. For someone that's as big and as strong as he is, certainly from what he looks like, he spends more time on the floor. He is as weak as anything. He's always picking up little knocks and injuries through the battle. I think he's easily beat. But the argument to that on the flip side of that is that we had nobody else that was as big as physical than him further up the pitch that could do that job.
No,
there was a clear reason why we were doing it. We were doing it to get the ball up the pitch. We were doing it to try and get flick-ons and cause problems down that left-hand side, which where St. Maximin and Almiron were looking to like get in and behind on. Equal to that, if we didn't win the ball and we get the flick on, we were trying to get throw-ins high up the pitch. When we've got a throw-in high up the pitch, what does it do? It gives the defence a breather. It gives us a chance to push forward up the pitch. So I knew what Freddie Woodman was doing. He was trying to slow the pace of the game down. He didn't want Man United getting up to speed and being wave after wave after wave after wave of attack to the point where our players are so tired having to defend that they nick a goal on the back of that. And I thought he played that well. I did think he maybe did it a little bit too often. He didn't need to, but he just slowing the game down when they built up a little bit of speed and they had a couple of chances that were going well wide. He slowed it down, brought the pace of the game right back down again to the beginning, and that's what I got. To be fair, that's what an experienced goalkeeper does. So there was elements of that I really liked, but. Again, it's not his fault that they're asking to play up to a guy that can't hold the ball up. But there's nobody else that can do it. And that's the biggest issue for me. So I didn't personally have an issue with it.
I think for me, Pete, it was just the lack of being able to come up with a plan B because, like you say, a few times, yeah, fine, try it, but it just felt like it was just constant, and all that was happening was Joe Linton was losing the ball, And then, on occasion, yeah, we got a throw in off it. But on other occasions, we were just giving the ball away needlessly. And you just felt like screaming and saying, look, this isn't working. Can you do something else? Can you play it out from the back a little bit? I know that's dangerous to do, especially against, such pace that Man United have got. But it just shows a lack of any, ideas, any plan, to try and do something different if something's not working.
That's why they didn't do it. It's as simple as that. Is that they didn't want to take the risk of playing out for the back because one, our players are not good on the ball at the back. None of them are. But we can't play out from the back because technically we're not good enough to do that. And two, when you're trying to play out the back and you've got Ronaldo pressing you, Greenwood pressing you, Sancho pressing you, and then you've got Bruno Fernandes as the fourth man. If you've got those four guys pressing you, you're going to lose the ball at some point really, really high up in your defensive line, and you're going to get punished for it. So I think they've made the conscious decision of, right, we're going to work the ball wide, try and get the flick-ons, try and get free kicks or throw-ins on the halfway line, and then we build from that on the other side of the pitch. And I think that was their plan. Ultimately, the plan B would be to play out from the back, but like I've said, we're not good enough to do that. So it makes it really difficult that we haven't got the quality of players to ensure that we can do those things in the right manner.
If only we had a Rondon.
Well, there you go. Even an Andy Carroll, but I'm not going to go there tonight.
I'd last another half an hour if we were talking about that.
I know you would. Right, so we'll run through the sponsors really quick. Spider VPN, massive sponsor for Steve and any of your internet services. These are the go-to guys, and I know they are taken up by a number of the Matters team and are working really well. So if you ever need any of your internet services, go to Spider VPN. Skips and Bins. These are the guys to go to. They are your best waste collection group. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. And they've got the best mascot in town in Sir Bobby. We've got Skips and Bins there. Again, telephone number 0800 2545 253. Inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Webpage www.skipsandbins.com. You got L&G family funeral services for all of those not too great times. You've got fantastic family directors who will look after you at your time of need. The main man, John Justice Allen. If you need anything pool table related, he's the guy to go to. QTech shop.co.uk. Hopefully soon we'll be getting some promotions out as John Justice Allen is sponsoring my Sunday League team's kit for the season. So hopefully when it arrives, we'll be getting the lads in the kit, getting a few photos out there and promoting our season. Hopefully it can be our lucky charm to send us towards challenging for the title this season. So I did say I'd keep John informed of our results. We won 1-0 on Sunday. So hopefully moving up the table, fingers crossed. We've got Jab Signature, who's a big sponsor for Steve. I know Steve works alongside Jab Signature quite closely. So please, some of their dress wear, some of their attire is absolutely fantastic. I've had a look at one or two tracksuits and various other things. So if you haven't already, give Jab Signature a look. And of course, Newcastle Legends. Absolutely gutted to miss the event the other week up in Newcastle. All the legends were there. Sounded like a fantastic night. Seen some pictures and the show that was on YouTube that Steve put out. But they'll be back. They'll be back at some point, and I'm sure Steve will be promoting another event coming up soon. And of course, the main sponsors, Loaded Mag. Join myself, Chris, Daz, Martin, and Richie for all your latest Newcastle news from the Five Boys. We've got plenty of good shows coming up in the next week and the weeks to come. Away days at some point this week, building up to the Leeds game. and then our weekly show, Loaded Mag, will be up and running, and we have a special show that Martin sorted out that will be promoted. So keep your eyes peeled for all the Loaded Mag shows up and coming in the next week or two. And that's it. Another good rant in the bank. Always a pleasure, Chris. Always enjoy sharing the show with you. Always some good views. Always some good guests as well.
Yeah, we do.
It's never ever a dull moment. And as always, the comments in the chat have been absolutely spot on. Everyone's been great. Really love I really love the interaction on a Monday night. I'm sure you do as well, Chris.
Yeah,
some great points in there, some great questions, and it builds for a real fantastic debate. So it makes this hour and 25 absolutely fly by. But guys, we'll be back for another rant on Monday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, with 3 points in the bank and a victory with Leeds. But we are Newcastle United, so who knows? But you guys all take care. Have a fantastic week and pray for the tune.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself.